From MTN News, you're watching Montana This Morning.
Have you ever heard of the CAGE self-assessment test to figure out if you might have a substance abuse problem? Don't worry, I'm Annie Johnson and I have more details coming up.
Lots of public interest surrounding a rugged road in Gallatin County. I'm Gabby Crevitt and I'll have that story coming up.
Just ahead of 6:30 on this Wednesday, Chet Lehman, Matt Elwell with you here. Looking out onto the patio, I can see the gorgeous sunrise out there over the bridges through the pine trees.
I was thinking about getting that cup of coffee and sitting out there for a few minutes while you talk about the news.
Oh, jealous. Sounds good though.
Yeah,
beautiful morning.
It's a beautiful morning all the way around. 40s and 50s, 32 in West Yellowstone. You may need a jacket in West Yellowstone to sit up and watch the sunrise. Look at those. That's the colors that
Gorgeous.
Chet was just talking about. The pinks and those beautiful blue hues. Looks like we're going to be dealing with a warmer, windy afternoon once again. So keep that in mind as you're heading out today. Temperatures will be building very quickly as we head into the Labor Day holiday. As we head out on Labor Day, maybe jacket weather once again. We'll talk more about what you can expect, of course, coming up on the Billion Auto Weather Patio in just a few minutes.
All right, thank you, Matt. It is 6:30. We start with some Treasure State headlines this half hour. 32-year-old Brian Pretty Weasel taken into custody in a Butte fast food drive-through about a month after fleeing police in Billings. Pretty Weasel and another suspect led police on a chase that shut down the Billings Heights for some 6 hours. 29-year-old Talon Fritzler was apprehended the day of the chase and arrested on a previous warrant. The two were fleeing from what police said was the shooting of a man in Shepherd on August 6th. A homeowner was shot after he noticed two men trying to steal an ATV. Now, the U.S. Marshals and the Butte Silver Bowl County Sheriff helped assist in Pretty Weasel's arrest after Pretty Weasel allegedly backed into another car at the Butte Taco John's. 6:31 now in Yellowstone National Park. The road between Mud Volcano and Fishing Bridge south of Canyon remains closed. The road first closed on August 27th when a trailer on a tandem gasoline tanker overturned, spilling fuel. Park Service says it hopes to have the road reopened in about a week. Right now, crews are cleaning up the spilled gasoline by digging a 100 by 100 foot trench, some 10 feet deep. Now, the contaminated soil being removed and will be hauled out of the park to a disposal facility. This is the largest roadside fuel spill in the park in nearly 20 years. Well, alcohol is the #1 factor when it comes to the drastic rise in substance abuse during this pandemic. Medical officials say they've seen more than twice the amount of substance abuse in Gallatin County and surrounding areas for the last 5 months. Alcohol, the most used. Numbers not just in Montana, but all across the country support that.
And we know statistically the numbers across the country have grown during this time for alcohol. The alcohol sales in Montana has risen 207% since March. So we know that alcohol sales across the country are up 55% and over 240% online increase. So we know alcohol is the drug of choice for most people.
Now, substance abuse not limited to just alcohol. In fact, a majority of the time it starts as a progression from something that may seem harmless to help deal with the stress, but that can lead to bigger problems. Now, MTN's Annie Johnson continues the conversation on substance abuse during this pandemic.
Today, we're continuing that conversation about substance abuse being at an all-time high during this pandemic. It's obviously a problem, so that means we need some obvious and practical solutions.
The mental health and substance abuse issues is our second pandemic. This virus will be long gone, and we're going to spend a decade or two dealing with the outcome of it.
Some people typically think of substance abusers as people who take harder drugs like heroin. But substance abuse could start with something as simple as you drinking earlier and more now that you may be home more.
A lot of us have this image of what a substance user looks like, and that's really not the case. You know, it's people that you're in line with at the grocery line, walking downtown and getting ice cream. We're all blended together.
It doesn't have to be a long, drawn-out process to see if you may have issues with substance abuse.
There's a very rapid test. It's called the CAGE. Stands for, have you ever felt like you should cut back? And then the A, that means, have you ever annoyed anyone by your use? And then the G, guilty. You ever feel guilty for drinking or using substances too much? And then the E is the eye opener. Do you have to drink a beer to feel better? Do you have to steady yourself to the next morning? So that's called the CAGE.
And there's resources out there, but first,
you have to really want it. Doing it for your spouse or for your employer or some other outside entity doesn't work.
Again, a good place to start is just to take a few minutes, even seconds, to do that cage self-assessment and go from there. Reporting in Bozeman, Annie Johnson, MTN News.
6:34 now. There were 6 people on the in-custody list for Gallatin County yesterday, all busted for possession of dangerous drugs. We don't usually see that many at one time. Since the start of the COVID-19 in Montana, a trend in law enforcement is seeing is violent crime up significantly. In Yellowstone County, law and legal officials made that point and attributed it to methamphetamine and domestic violence. Yellowstone County has had 8 people murdered, more than all of last year, with numerous non-fatal shootings and stabbings. Robberies for Yellowstone County up some 44%. Back here at home, Gallatin County commissioners take action on a petition to abandon a portion of Bremer Creek Road north of Belgrade and just outside of Modlow. MTN's Gabby Crevitt has the details. What commissioners decided was the best for the future of that road.
For some, Bremer Creek Road is a rugged road that can be used to access private property. For others, it's a public road that can be used as a trail for hiking, biking, and ATVing. And the Gallatin County Commission voted today saying it should remain that way for everyone.
I think that stretch, although I understand that all the recreationalists love it, needs to be closed for the safety of citizens.
The landowners near the intersection of Bremer Creek and Rocky Mountain Road submitted a petition earlier this year requesting Gallatin County commissioners close a portion of Bremer Creek Road. On Tuesday, landowners who filed petitions told commissioners the road was poorly maintained, muddy and dangerous in the spring, and damaged by recreational users.
The reason that rut's there is when you look at the other pictures that were submitted, the mud boggers head right down the middle of the road, the water can't get off the road, and that's what happens.
Our litter consists more of cases of beer cans, dead animal carcasses, couches, appliances. It's not spilt noodles, it's legit trash.
A little more than 2,000 people signed an online petition to stop the closure of the roughly 3.5 miles of county road, saying it served as a scenic road for recreation.
It's a wonderful place. I've been on that road many times, probably 4 times this spring, and the wildlife sightings are excellent.
Commissioners voted unanimously against closing the road and to further discuss closing it seasonally to avoid the severe damage that happens in the spring. Landowners and recreational users at the meeting told MTN News they were satisfied with the compromise. And landowners said they hope that means that's just a few less cars they have to help tow out of the mud. Reporting in Gallatin County, Gabby Crevitt, MTN News.
6:37 now. I'm looking out the window, Matt. I see the sunrise continuing to look beautiful out there.
It's going to be a fantastic afternoon for sure.
We'll have your forecast coming up after the break.
We will.
Also, do you use hand sanitizer a lot now? Well, maybe you're using it too much. Coming up, learn why good old soap and water may be a better way to protect yourself from COVID-19 and other viruses. But first, here's a look at what's coming up at 7 on CBS This Morning.
Good morning. Ahead on CBS This Morning, Wisconsin's Attorney General joins us. We'll discuss the investigation into the police shooting of Jacob Blake in Kenosha, the federal response, and President Trump's controversial visit to the city. Also, as many schools reopen, there are concerns about a lack of school nurses. We'll show you how districts are scrambling to find the right medical professionals for students. And meet a COVID patient who received a rare double lung transplant. In an exclusive interview, hear the life and death decision he had to make and how he'll never take a breath of fresh air for granted again. All that coming up when we see you at 7.